Starfield, the game that's supposed to be the greatest of the decade, the pinnacle of next-gen gaming. It doesn't really feel fun at all. In fact, it feels soulless. You can tell by looking at the scenery and the characters that it just feels like it has no soul, that the developers didn't feel passionate about this game. It makes sense, since they don't get paid enough to work this hard, but this game has a lack of colour, life and art, like it was made simply for showing off the graphics. Focusing on realism and graphics is no wonder why everything else about this game sucks. The gameplay, the story is so boring, it doesn't interest me at all, nothing about it is memorable. It almost feels like this is a game made for investors rather than gamers. Just show all those shiny new graphics to them, that'll be enough, no need to make it fun. And that's the thing with a lot of AAA games, they clearly focus more on graphics than actual gameplay. What I'll be talking about in this video, the graphics, the characters and the combat. I'll also be comparing Starfield to 2 other games, and I'll mention a few minor points near the end. I admit that the graphics look pretty good. There are some places like New Atlantis which look amazing. It's this futuristic, utopian looking city that seems to be the only place with colour in this game. But get used to seeing greys upon greys because everywhere else looks exactly that. Boring and dull, or just straight up empty. There are over 1,000 planets in this game, with only 100 having life on them, and honestly, what's the point of having so many planets to visit when the majority of them are empty? It seems like a huge waste of time and space literally. Not to mention that the game takes up 150 gigabytes, which is just ridiculous. You could play better games like Cyberpunk 2077, which only takes up 84 gigabytes, or GTA 5, which only takes up 110. Red Dead Redemption 2 takes up 120, and that is an amazing game. I know that with the examples I gave, they still take up a lot of space, still not as much as Starfield, but they are way more fun. Even the stories are better, especially with RDR2. I just feel like Bethesda could have reduced the size of the game by half if they simply removed a lot of the useless planets and toned down the graphics by a little bit. It also only runs at 30 FPS on Xbox. If the game wasn't so graphics intensive, it could definitely run at over 60 FPS. That's what I don't get about a lot of AAA games. They always try to chase hyper-realistic graphics, knowing that we are going to need the best hardware in order to play them. I certainly wouldn't want my PC overheating, not like I'd ever download this game simply because it takes up too much space. Instead, I used Xbox Game Pass to try the game, but really what I want are smaller games with worse graphics, and that way the developers don't need to be worked to the bone. They could focus on making fun games with better gameplay. The company won't need to pour hundreds of millions of dollars into development, and they could potentially make even more money because their game would be accessible to more people and more enjoyable. It seems like a win-win. I don't get why more game companies don't do this. Oh wait, they must appease the shareholders. You see, good graphics take a lot of time and money to produce. All that time and money could be better spent on other aspects of the game, such as gameplay and story. The only big game company that seems to get this is Nintendo, but still, they aren't all that great. They do, however, seem to be doing a lot better than the others. The characters in this game don't look good at all in my opinion. With the character customization, I feel like Bethesda has gone backwards. You'd think with all these graphics improvements, characters look better, but honestly they don't, and I think that Fallout 4 did a much better job of character customization. I haven't played Skyrim, so I don't know if character customization in that game is better, but you can tell me. It just seems harder to make a good looking character in this game as opposed to Fallout 4. With the NPCs, however, they're easily forgettable. Maybe except for the adoring fan.
I saw a smudge of dirt on your ship the other day. Don't worry, I obliterated it with every cleaning product known to man. No speck of soil is getting near you, not if I can help it. I don't mind. Why would I? Oh no, that sounds odd. Oh! Did you want to station me somewhere? What did you have in mind? Understood. Standing still. I didn't catch the end of what you said, but I'm sure all will be revealed in time. Take your time. I know as an artist.
Any clue how irresponsible your acting was?
Your aim is immaculate, so I suspect something must
You just killed that person in cold blood. Are you insane?
Everyone else seems generic and uninteresting. I also don't really like how they look. When you talk to them, the game zooms in, some NPCs barely ever blink or have many facial expressions at all. They don't feel really human, almost like they're staring into your soul with their soulless eyes. The conversations and scripted cutscenes are really boring. I don't enjoy waiting for NPCs to stop talking, especially when almost none of the conversations interest me at all. But anyways, I genuinely don't think that there are any characters that really stand out. There are also no aliens. The only intelligent life in this game are humans. Most enemies are humans. It would have been nice if there are more variety like in Fallout or Elder Scrolls, but there isn't. And that's another reason why I find the characters in this game so boring. The combat in Starfield is okay. There's not much to say about it. It's a little similar to Fallout 4, maybe with a few improvements. And you also get magic powers, which is kind of similar to Elder Scrolls. I played this game with a controller, so it wasn't all that great. Then again, I did play Fallout 4 on PS4. To be honest, I haven't really got to the part where you get magic powers yet, and this ties back in with the story. The fact that this game fails to get me hooked onto the story. Playing this game feels like a chore when I want to try out a lot of other games on Game Pass. But you see, I had to play the game a bit more, give it a second chance just for this video. What I will say is that I think that the combat is the only strong point in this game. I wouldn't say that is particularly exciting, but in terms of the gameplay, it's fine. But it's more like, your average generic shooter game. That's why it's not so exciting or interesting. And that's how it is for most of the game, until you get the magic powers, but you're going to be doing this for about 10-20 hours before you even get that far. So for all that time, it's just really boring. And however, space combat on the other hand is horrible. If you want good space combat, I recommend No Man's Sky, simply because 1, it's more fun, 2, I think it's more simple because in Starfield you have to distribute points among each of your spaceship systems, and when you're in the middle of combat, it's kind of hard to multitask like that. When you're trying to fight these enemies, and when you have to move all your points to your machine guns or whatever, or rockets, it's kind of hard to do that. Like, you have to focus on the enemy. And 3, most importantly, in No Man's Sky you have a variety of ship weapons, and also different types of ships that you can obtain. In Starfield, however, you only get the one ship. I don't really know if there are any other ships, but so far that's really it. I'm also going to compare Starfield with No Man's Sky a bit more, and particularly in regards to the immersion. In Starfield, you have cutscenes for taking off and landing, and loading screens when you enter buildings, cutscenes for when you are docking into another spaceship, and also undocking. There are more loading screens, more cutscenes, but I'm not going to list everything. As for No Man's Sky, the only real loading screen that you get is when you are loading a save. Traveling around in your ship is much more fun in this game because you do everything yourself. You have to fly into a planet, you land your ship, you take off, you leave the planet. Going from planet to planet, system to system is way more fun and immersive in this game. Also, you can actually go from planet to planet a lot quicker because you have this pulse drive, which gets you there in like seconds really, like most is maybe a minute. But with Starfield, you have this boost, and it's not really much of a boost at all. It makes it a little bit faster, but you don't really get any closer to one of these planets. It might take maybe, 1 hour or something. I did see a video that was like traveling to some planet, and it took 7 hours. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, they go for this sort of realism. and that just kind of ruins the game a bit. I don't think anyone wants to really sit down, fly towards this planet for countless hours. Obviously, you have to, in Starfield, you have to go to the menu and select a planet and where you want to land, hold a button and watch a cutscene, and this really ruins the immersion for me. That's why I find No Man's Sky is way more fun, more immersive. You have more freedom, and this is what I want in a space game. You get more freedom. No Man's Sky gives me exactly that. And I know that on release it wasn't great, but now it's much better, and also I am comparing two completely different genres. Starfield is an RPG, that means role-playing game, while No Man's Sky is a sandbox game, similar to Minecraft. One is also made by a small indie game company, while the other is made by Bethesda, which is a much bigger company owned by Microsoft, and because you have more people working on Starfield, I at least expected more in terms of fun and immersion, not as in adding more empty planets. No Man's Sky succeeds in giving that, whereas Starfield fails. Counterpoint: No Man's Sky has 18 quintillion planets, so wouldn't that make No Man's Sky more empty? Well, no. If you look at a comparison of planets in Starfield with planets in No Man's Sky, you can see that there is more life and more color. Also, everything is procedurally generated. Just like Minecraft, it doesn't load everything all at once. The planets that you visit are generated. Starfield does use a bit of procedural generation, but most of these planets just come off as empty. And that's the opposite of No Man's Sky. This is a sandbox game, so just like with Minecraft, you play as you see fit. You don't even have to follow the story. You just get thrown into a new world where you do whatever you want without having to sit through long cutscenes of NPCs talking, and on the plus side is multiplayer too. You can explore space with a friend or do co-op missions with other people. That's another thing that Starfield lacks. I think it would be cool, but I'm not sure if Bethesda will add multiplayer. But back to the other point, since everything in No Man's Sky is procedurally generated, while also having 18 quintillion planets, you'd think that this game would take hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes, but no, this game actually manages to keep itself just under 15 gigabytes, which is literally a tenth of Starfield, while also being 10 times more fun. If you made it this far into the video, that's great. You have a better attention span than 90% of people. Perhaps consider giving a like, comment, share with other people, and subscribe to help me with the algorithm. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. As you may know, YouTube does not pay me at all, so therefore I have this to help run the channel, and so I can make more and better videos for you guys. For the cheapest tier, you get a shout out at the end of each video. For the other tiers, you also get early access to some videos. I have a new edit already uploaded. If you want to watch it now, you know what to do. I'll also be uploading more videos in the future, and as a Patreon member, you'll gain early access to all of those videos for free. Another game I want to compare Starfield to is Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, I know, it didn't have a great release either, but just like No Man's Sky, it improved a lot since then, and I could say that in 2024 it is an amazing game. I'd even go as far as to say it is one of my favourites. Both of these games are RPGs, but there are so many things that make Cyberpunk better than Starfield. The story, the setting, and the world building are so much more interesting. Cyberpunk is set in a dystopian, futuristic city called Night City, a city completely controlled by corrupt megacorps and filled with crime, consumerism, as shown by the adverts seen everywhere throughout Night City, and body modification with cyberware. You play as a mercenary named V who wants to become a legend. After a heist gone wrong, you are stuck with a biochip in your head with the construct of Johnny Silverhand, played by Keanu Reeves, who is a rock star and known for being anti-establishment, fighting against corporations, and he also nuked Arasaka Tower. In the beginning, Johnny wants to kill you, but eventually become best friends. However, the biochip inside you is killing you, and soon it'll be too late. Johnny will end up taking over your body. So you go through this whole journey to try and find a way to get rid of the biochip. With every mission you do, you become more of a legend. There are many choices that you can make with the various characters that you meet. They may help you on your journey, and in the end, you choose whether to side with Arasaka or fight against them. Your final choice and which ending you decide to go with decides the fate of V, Johnny, your friends, and Night City. There is even more lore if you want to include the tabletop games. That was simply just a short summary of the story of Cyberpunk 2077. There's only so much I can describe with words. Trust me, it is a lot bigger and more exciting than that, and I highly recommend you play it. But anyways, already you have a story that is much more interesting than Starfield's. In Starfield, you explore space, looking for artifacts. Granted, I haven't finished the game, so I don't know if there's anything beyond this in regards to the main story, but I'm not all that interested in this story. Just compare the two and tell me which is better. It's Cyberpunk. Looking for artifacts is boring compared to fighting against an evil megacorp to try and save your life. This is just my opinion. You may find Starfield's story more interesting, but comparing the story aspect of these three games, I'll say Cyberpunk first, then Starfield, and No Man's Sky last. The reason why I'm putting No Man's Sky last is because it is a sandbox game and the story isn't really the main focus of the game. It's more so about exploration. Also, I do know that stories haven't really been a strong suit of Bethesda since New Vegas. Then again, that was developed by Obsidian Entertainment. I haven't played Fallout 3, so I can't really speak on that. I heard the story was alright, but with Fallout 4, well, I say that the story was okay. It wasn't amazing, it's certainly lacking compared to New Vegas, but for what it is, it's fine, and the gameplay kinda makes up for it. Basically, don't bother holding high expectations for Bethesda with any future games. Cyberpunk 2077 gives you a variety of playstyles. You can go in guns blazing or stealth. You can play as a cowboy with a revolver or a ninja with a katana. You can be like Hulk and throw bodies around, or you can be a tech wizard who can kill people with the power of your mind. You can slow down time and kill people before they know what happened, or you can choose to be a tank, dealing huge melee damage and becoming an unstoppable force. You also have tech weapons that can shoot through cover, or smart weapons that have homing bullets. Compared to Starfield, which is more like a generic shooter, you have pistols, rifles, shotguns, laser weapons, melee weapons, and also magic powers too. But I'm busy thinking that this isn't as exciting as Cyberpunk's combat. Maybe it does get better, but for now it feels more like a generic shooter. However, I did enjoy using the boost pack. It made combat a bit more fun, particularly in low gravity environments. It made it harder for enemies to hit me, and I could easily get up close and shoot them point blank. But for most of the time, I've been trying to pick them off at a distance with just a pistol. And I kind of do this in Cyberpunk 2, but only because when you have a lot of points spec'd into pistols and revolvers, they can be the most overpowered weapons in the game, even better than sniper rifles, and also I find pistols easier to aim and hit accurate shots in Cyberpunk as opposed to Starfield. I'm sure it gets better when you get more powerful weapons, but that would be fine with me if the game actually tried to get me hooked in the first couple of hours. At least Cyberpunk managed to do this well. Sometimes I don't feel like Starfield is even trying. First off, the characters look much better. They also have more expressions, and so therefore they feel more human than Starfield's soulless characters. You can tell that the actors did a really good job. Some of the scenes are exciting and cool and full of action, unlike Starfield where most dialogue sounds dull. And also, for characters, each with their own set of missions, which you can choose to romance. I know that Starfield also has 4 characters which do that with 2, but I don't know them and I don't really care. There's no incentive to make the player care about any of the characters because they're so boring. Cyberpunk, however, knows how to make the player care about some of the characters in this game. They each have their own stories and personalities, some that you'll like and some that you'll hate. Some of my favourite characters are Victor, Jackie, and Panam. I don't want to give any spoilers, but basically, Jackie was V's best friend. Victor is probably the realest character, also a very good friend to V since the beginning. Panam is one of the characters that you can romance, and pretty much the only option if you are a straight guy. But I think she's really cool, she knows how to fight, she hates the corporations, and you can also choose to have her help you in the ending. The other 3 characters don't have that option. But anyways, you can see that the characters in Cyberpunk have much more depth to them compared to Starfield's characters. It might be that there are maybe a few characters in Starfield that have some neat backstories, but I haven't seen anything like that so far. And besides, if Bethesda actually made the characters more exciting, then maybe there would be more reason to be more invested into those characters, but there just isn't, and I'm not going to play the game any longer to see if things switch around. Another point that I want to mention is vehicles, and also vehicular combat. This isn't much of a comparison, but I'll say this, a lot more fun than space combat, And also, I wish they actually had land vehicles in Starfield. This would make traversing across planets more fun. No Man's Sky has land vehicles too. I don't see why Bethesda can't add vehicles to their game. Like, you're telling me the super fun society that has spaceships that can travel to different systems in seconds, or more like a loading screen, has no cars. Really, that's what makes traveling in both Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky more fun. I'd say it's the most fun in Cyberpunk because there's a huge variety of vehicles. You can have supercars or vehicles with turrets, missile launchers, bikes and trucks, and also, most importantly, Porsche. This makes driving around Night City fun. You have a pretty cool setting combined with some cool cars. It's just like GTA 5. Simply driving around Los Santos is fun. Starfield has some huge open areas. It feels like a missed opportunity to add vehicles. Running around everywhere, using up all of your stamina simply isn't that fun compared to driving. You can get a pet cat in Cyberpunk. You can also get an iguana. However, it takes forever for the egg to hatch, about 60 to 100 in-game days. If you have both pets, you can actually find both of them interacting with each other sometimes. In Starfield, however, there are no pets. Overall, I would give Starfield a solid 4 out of 10. Like I said, the gameplay is fine. The story sucks. The characters suck as well. Everything is boring. The scenery, there's some sceneries that actually look pretty good. The graphics, they're really good. But they go for this realism that's just really boring. Dull. That's why, I mean, if this game had, I'll say that it had a lot of potential. And, I think Bethesda might just be trying to piggyback off the work of modders. Because, with Fallout 4 and Skyrim, the reason why those games are great is because of modders. They pretty much fix the game, make it more fun, more replayable. I think that's what Bethesda's trying to do. They're a bit too lazy to make a actual good game. Well, maybe they tried as the best they could, but having to take 10 hours until you get to the good part of Starfield, if that even exists, it's just not worth it. Especially when I can play Cyberpunk 2077 and 1 hour into the game, well, we're already in the action. We're actually getting off the main story. It's great. I also want to mention the DLCs. You have this what's it called? Shattered Space DLC for Starfield. Just like this horror kind of thing. And I'll admit it looks kind of interesting, but that's judging from the trailer. But I mean, they actually made the sceneries actually look pretty cool, and it's like they could have done this with the main game. So why make this DLC the only interesting part of this entire game? Then you also got the Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk, which I'll say is definitely worth it. Because you have this, like I said, the story is really amazing. I don't really want to go into details, I don't want to spoil anything, but compared it to Cyberpunk wins. That is really everything I wanted to say about Starfield. I still, however, think that you'll have a better experience with Cyberpunk 2077 and No Man's Sky instead. Give them a try, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Obviously, most of the things I've said are just my opinions. You can let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. If you disagree with some things, give reasons why. Try and convince me that Starfield is a good game. I'd like to hear what you guys think. If you agree, that's awesome. Let me know which things you agreed with. If you have any other points you'd like to mention, please do so. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and share this video. Okay, you know what? Forget everything I said before. You want a good space game? This is it.